Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us for our Wednesday update recorded on the 19th of March. Let's get into the forecast because there's a fair amount of low pressure around New Zealand at the moment. Two different lows, but the one over the North Island is the one that is growing. The low here next to Cook Strait in the lower part of the North Island, that one is falling apart. There's a southerly flow coming in, that's why your temperatures are down today in the South Island and the lower North Island. Some of that humidity will clear away from the top of the country as we go through the next 12 hours. But as low number 1 down here to the south disintegrates, low number 2 over the North Island expands. Now when I woke up this morning, I'm in Auckland, my forecast said rain. I looked out the window and there was clear skies and no rain at all when I looked at the radar. So why was it saying rain when we don't have rain? Because it's still yet to form. These low pressure zones are very unstable, and so you can have showers. Now showers usually individual cloud that lasts less than 30 minutes with rain. But what if that shower merges with another one next to it, another one next to it, and suddenly it starts to expand out? That's when it turns to rain. And so you can get on a sort of a 50-50 mark on that, which is where some places are today, around the edges of this low pressure zone, and why some of you might have rain in the forecast, but only get a couple of showers, while others of you might get a real downpour and the rain sets in a lot longer than you thought. That's what low pressure does. It'd be great if on our forecast, we could even have a thing that said, when there's low pressure in, hey, today's forecast might change. Track the rain radar. So here is the rain radar. This is the last 24 hours of rainfall from Tuesday morning through to Wednesday. Let's animate it now. So the area with that sort of low number 1, the first one to the south here, you can see it over Canterbury as it developed over Tuesday and Tuesday night. Some very heavy falls around Banks Peninsula and then pushing inland. Now as we go through into today, Wednesday, you'll see that wet weather moving into the North Island, lots of showers that merge together and turn to rain. And so that's why these areas in the north here, seeing these individual showers, the further down you go, they merge together, and that's when the rain starts to come in. So there's always going to be someone on the edge of it where it doesn't quite happen, but low pressure basically from Auckland down to about Manawatu and even getting down to Wellington today, that's the area where we're likely to be seeing some instability. So track the rain radar today. Let's have a look at temperatures. Southerly change coming through for today. Still got the west and northwesterlies at the top of the country. Jump forward to Saturday and the nor'westers come back in for many places. Not overly strong for most of you, but that breeze is back. Your temperatures jump back up again in most places by the time we get to Saturday. Perhaps some parts of Southland not necessarily warming up a lot, and we're going to explain why. But there is still warmer weather coming. So here we are at lunchtime today. We don't always show you a today map like this one, but we've got these low pressure zones. So here is the big main one over the North Island. The darker blue from Auckland down to about Manawatu, that's the area where those showers can merge and rain can really set in with some heavy falls. But it's patchy and you could be quite close to that and not get it. So like I say, if rain matters to you, keep an eye on that Met Service rain radar today. The secondary low around the top of the South Island, Cook Strait, and the lower part of the North Island, that's falling apart. But still, as you saw on the radar, still some rain around there, some heavy falls as that moves on through. And the further south you go, the drier it is because high pressure in the Tasman Sea stretching out places like Fiordland, Westland, Southland, Otago, and South Canterbury, drier skies returning for you. Let's go to Thursday. So high pressure really does balloon out over the South Island with a high pressure centre to the east of Banks Peninsula and another one out over the Tasman Sea. So that's a big high. Could be some morning cloud and fog, then it burns off. Hopefully quite a nice day for many of you. In the North Island, southeasterly winds blowing through. That makes it sunnier in Taranaki, certainly in northern Taranaki, King Country, Waikato, and up to Auckland and parts of Northland. Parts of Northland, because you might get a couple of showers on that eastern side. Most of the wet weather is south of Gisborne and north of Napier. Wairoa, Mahia Peninsula, that sort of area, getting some of that wet weather up to about Gisborne, kicking on in, and the showers taper off the further south you go. Jumping to Friday, not a great deal of change. That low, though, to the east of the country is pretty much falling apart. It's got high pressure to the west of it, to the south, and to the east. So it's stuck in there like a wheel stuck in the mud, and it's going to run out of steam pretty soon. But a few more showers still linger in that northeastern corner of the North Island and maybe around the Bay of Islands. At the other end of the country, in Southland, Otago, in come the nor'westers and the lightest winds for central New Zealand, Nelson, Blenheim, Wellington, Paraparaumu, those areas, all getting lighter winds as we go in towards the weekend. Speaking of the weekend for surfers, stormy stuff south of New Zealand, light winds over the top of us. Let's have a look at the swell forecast. We get asked about this all the time. Now, there's a lack of data in New Zealand. As you well know, NIWA doesn't like to share anything, even though they're a science agency. Let's have a look at this, though. We'll animate it from Saturday morning through till Sunday night, and you can watch these swells coming through. Big thanks to PredictWind. You can find their maps on our website or go to theirs. So you can see easterlies pushing in on the eastern North Island, southwesters on the other side. But as we go through into the weekend, into Sunday in particular, you see that southwesterly kind of pushing through. Now, locally, that might still curve around as a different direction, so check your local surfing and marine forecast for more details. But the big picture shows these sort of larger waves coming in from south of New Zealand, from low pressure zones like this one right here, south of Tasmania. On Saturday itself, weather-wise on land, not a lot to talk about. Although the nor'westers pick up in the South Island and the lower North Island. That's why when I showed you those maximum temperature maps from today to Saturday, why Saturday is warmer for many of you, rather than a southerly, it is a nor'wester. In the North Island, perhaps northeasterlies at the top, nor'westers further to the south, a couple of showers around at the very top here around Northland. Otherwise, it's a mostly dry Saturday. Into Sunday, no great deal of changes. Still a couple of isolated showers at the top half of the North Island. Dry in most other places, although Kapiti Coast could see a couple of showers, Horowhenua. West Coast has got the best chance of getting some wet weather and maybe a couple of showers around Otago and Southland. They'll be isolated and they don't look like they'll produce much. There is a temperature change on Sunday. The high over Tasmania, dredging up a bit of a southerly. So the South Island will see a temperature change on Sunday. Nothing major, but just autumn weather, put it that way. So let's kick off next week. High pressure moves back into the country, or didn't really move away, to be honest with you. We do see a few showers. The southern placement of that centre brings in a couple of showers to the eastern North Island again. Most other areas are dry. Even the west coast, although you can see that little line of blue, might be a shower. I'm showing you the big picture though, because New Zealand's got high pressure over it, which means there's not a lot to really talk about. The tropics is remarkably quiet at the moment north of New Zealand. Not a lot of low pressure up there, but there is some from the Coral Sea over to northwestern Australia. That's where you're seeing tropical lows, proper ones, off the coast of Western Australia, off the coast of the Kimberley region. High pressure from the Indian Ocean, moving in south of Australia and moving into New Zealand, while the normal storms we see at this time of the year, they are certainly down there around the Southern Ocean. And as we go through the next month or so, they should start to affect New Zealand a wee bit more. Here is our final map for Tuesday of next week. High pressure firmly in charge of the New Zealand area. Yes, you might get a few showers stuck in between there. That's always possible, especially when there's a centre parked on both sides of the country. That means in the middle, the winds can sort of bump into each other, makes a bit of cloud, maybe a few showers. Otherwise, mostly dry. The tropics north of New Zealand, not very dramatic, although there is a low near Vanuatu, New Caledonia, a bigger low off the coast of the Kimberley, and storms well south of New Zealand. But here is the next high that's tracking our way. So the area we're looking for, if you want more rain, especially in the North Island, you're looking for these gaps between the highs. So that's the best area where there's a weakness in the atmosphere that lets either a tropical low drop south between it or a Southern Ocean storm come up. So the gap between the highs matters. Sometimes they merge and form into one big blob. Other times they can separate, and when that happens, that's the area where you get some rain. All right, that is all from me. Thanks for joining us for our Wednesday update. We'll see you again tomorrow, Thursday, with our next outlook for the next week ahead.